How is it possible that Rolex can say no to paying customers? Is it about money, connections, loyalty, or something else entirely? If you've ever been hit with a swift rejection, today we're uncovering 10 reasons Rolex Authorized Dealers will refuse to sell you a watch. Let's start with the line you've probably heard a million times: I can put you on the wait list. It sounds organized, right? Like a first come first served queue where you have a clear spot. But the truth is, there is no official Rolex waitlist. So if there is no real list, then what exactly did that sales associate just type your name into? Well, let's peel back the curtain on the software running the show. Instead of a standard line, ADs use an internal customer relationship management CRM database. Think of it less like a ticket at a deli counter and more like the guest list at an exclusive nightclub. When a new batch of watches arrives from Switzerland, the store manager and the sales team don't look at who's been waiting the longest. They look at their profile registry and choose exactly who they want to hand the watch to. If your profile doesn't stand out, your name remains buried in the digital ether. But why should anyone's name be buried? I thought we were all Rolex's loyal customers. Rolex has a problem with people buying watches at retail price and selling them on the secondary market for large profits. Because of this, sales associates are trained to profile you the second you walk through the door. You might think talking about the resale market makes you sound like a savvy investor, but it's actually the easiest way to get blacklisted instantly. Do you know why? Well, under the strict Rolex distribution agreement, individual retailers can lose their license if they sell to known flippers or grey market dealers. So if you walk into a Rolex store asking about investment value, residual pricing, or if you ask for a highly coveted steel model right off the bat, you look like a speculator. Dealers want to see authentic brand passion. They look at your clothes, your demeanor, and how you speak about horology. If they suspect your goal is a quick buck rather than a permanent spot in your personal collection, they will protect their relationship with the Rolex head office and tell you they have zero inventory. But what if you genuinely love the watch and have no interest in selling it? Well, there's still something standing between you and that Rolex. Your purchase history is flatlining. It's an open secret in the luxury watch world that to get the watches everyone wants, you have to buy the things nobody wants. Rolex ADs are independent businesses that need to move high-margin jewelry and slower-moving precious metal timepieces. If you think your 10 grand cash stack makes you a big fish, you're competing with whales whose spending history looks like a telephone number. When a highly restricted model like a stainless steel Cosmograph Daytona arrives, the allocation priority goes to the store's VIP clients. We're talking about individuals who have spent tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars on diamond necklaces, engagement rings, or less popular two-tone models over several years. According to luxury market data, the demand to allocation ratio for steel sports watches can reach up to 10 to 1 in major metropolitan areas. If a dealer has one watch and 10 people want it, it will always go to the person who keeps the lights on in the store. Now, let's say you've started building the relationship and earning trust. But do you know there's one thing that can erase all of that overnight? Geography matters more than most people realize. Now, why does your zip code matter to a luxury boutique? Authorized dealers prioritize their local and established clients. If you drove 4 hours to visit a dealer in another city because you heard that they had better stock, that alone puts you at a disadvantage. Also, overseas ADs are unlikely to add out-of-town buyers to their interest list at all. Even domestic dealers in other cities may be hesitant to invest in a relationship with someone they'll likely never see again. This is because Rolex actively encourages its retail network to foster deep relationships with its local communities. They want watches on the wrist of people who live, work and spend money in that specific city. Dealers know that a tourist will buy a watch, fly home and likely never return. A local client, however, will come back for anniversary gifts, watch servicing and future upgrades. If your ID shows you live 3 states or a country away, the sales associate will reserve their precious allocation for someone who can anchor a long-term commercial relationship. But let's say you are local, and at some point in the last year, they actually called you about a watch. What happened next might be the most expensive mistake you've ever made. You've declined the call before. This one catches people off guard. When an authorized dealer calls to say a coveted piece has come in, it's not a casual heads up but an offer. And if you decline or don't respond quickly enough, you've just told that dealer you're not ready or not serious enough. Dealers don't have time to wait for maybes. Most boutiques operate on a 24 to 48 hour window. Also, they have a watch and a list of people who want it. If you pass once, the next name gets the chance. And depending on how that particular dealer operates, you may find yourself sliding down the priority list or offered entirely for the next allocation cycle. Meanwhile, if you love this uncovering of Rolex's sales secrets, hit the like button and subscribe. Now, before we get into how Rolex engineered this entire system, there's something you need to know. You can walk into a Rolex store and see a Daytona sitting in the case with a display only sign. Rolex Authorized Dealers put it there so you can try it on, fall in love, and then they tell you that you can't buy it. It feels like a cruel joke, doesn't it? A store full of products that aren't for sale. But this brings us back to what we just discussed earlier about you declining a call and the absolute breakdown of the traditional retail model. To prevent their stores from looking empty due to the extreme demand imbalances, Rolex introduced display-only models. These pieces keep foot traffic coming through the doors so new enthusiasts can at least try them on. However, there is a hidden layer here. Sometimes those signs are used as a polite shield. If a random walk-in asks to buy it, it's an exhibition piece. If a Tier 1 VIP client walks in later that afternoon, that exact watch might mysteriously become available for sale. But why supply this tight in the first place? It's easy to blame the sales associates, but the scarcity often stems directly from Switzerland. Rolex is an incredibly successful mass luxury producer, but they have a strict hard cap on what they can physically create. You might think a company facing infinite demand would just build 10 more factories overnight, but Rolex plays a completely different algorithmic game. Industry estimates show that Rolex produces roughly 1.2 million watches per year. In 2024, they produce roughly 1 to 1.18 million timepieces, still pulling in about CHF 10.58 billion in revenue. So how is it that they made fewer watches and earned more money? By increasing the average price of each watch sold. Although it's possible to think that Rolex has tried, because they produce more than 1 million watches. But Rolex holds a 32% retail market share of the global luxury watch market, and the Daytona, which is one of the most coveted references in the world, accounts for an estimated 108,000 units per year globally. Spread that across every authorized dealer in over 100 countries, and the math gets sobering very fast. The brand has consistently resisted the temptation to flood the market even during peak demand years, because the moment everyone can walk in and buy a Submariner tomorrow, it stops being a Submariner. So what happens when demand cools a little and the grey market stabilizes? Well, it could happen that you still won't get a Rolex because you tried to cross many references. When you walk into a boutique and the associate asks you what you're looking for, a common mistake is saying, "Oh, I'm open to a Submariner, Datejust or a Daytona." You think you're being flexible and easygoing, but to a luxury specialist, that answer raises suspicion. In the Rolex world, a shotgun approach signals that you don't actually care about the heritage, design, or movement of a specific timepiece. You just want any hot luxury watch to show off or flip. True collectors usually target one exact reference, right down to the bezel color and dial configuration. When you provide a laundry list of the brand's most hyped sports models, the dealer instantly categorizes you as an opportunistic buyer. Okay, let's say you played the game correctly and bought the watch. The next part is where things get very interesting. Selling your Rolex is your right, but it might cost you your next one. In 2022, Rolex launched its Certified Pre-Owned program. This is a brand-backed system where pre-owned Rolex watches are authenticated, serviced, and resold through authorized dealers with an official 2-year warranty. What does this mean for you? It means Rolex is now deeply embedded in the secondary market. Every single Rolex has a unique serial number engraved on the rail. When a watch is sold, that serial number is tied directly to your name and the selling AD via an electronic warranty card activation. If that watch ends up on a secondary platform, or if a different owner takes it to a Rolex service center for standard maintenance, the system updates. Also, if the original selling AD discovers or is notified by corporate that a piece they allocated to you was sold shortly after purchase, you'll be instantly flagged. Now, since Rolex has locked down the secondary market with digital tracking, shouldn't walking into a boutique be easy by now? Well, don't pack your bags just yet. Even with stabilizing demand, the structural hierarchy of how Rolex sells watches is here to stay. Authorized dealers have realized that a relationship-driven model keeps their businesses highly stable. If you want to walk out of a boutique with a crown on your wrist, you have to support your local dealer and show them that you're a collector who values the watch for life. So, can Rolex refuse to sell you a watch? Absolutely, and they do it every single day. But now that you know the hidden mechanics behind the no, you can change your approach. So what's your experience been like at a Rolex boutique? Let's get talking in the comments down below. And if you want to know how a $20 watch almost killed Rolex, click on the next video. See you there.